Hey, this is Win from Family Focus Eye Care. I'm a tech here at the beautiful facility in Columbia, Missouri. Today, we'll be going through the basics. To open the rooms, make sure that we take off all the covers. And then we just put them away in a drawer, kind of wipe these down, making sure they're all clean for the next patient. All right, so right here in front of me is the phoropter. Set this for the doctors in between patients, especially when we have an auto refraction receipt. This is where we set our sill, and then this is where we set our sphere. So for me, I have no sill, no sill, and then no sill for that as well. And then for my sphere, I'm -3 for both eyes. All right, we have -3. And then we have -3. Awesome. These are other accessories for the doctors to use where you don't really get involved in those dials. So after we set the phoropter, we're all good to go. We'll be using the Optos machine, the auto refraction, and our eye care tonometer. First, with the Optos, we want to log in. I tend to just do FFE staff, and then we have our passcode, and then we have access to patient database, and then we can start taking pictures of patients' eyes. So this is me. We want to make sure that it's their first and last name, correct birth date, gender. We have FFE staff. You can change it to whatever, but that's what I usually do, FFE staff. And then there's going to be a little area you can put a little code for them. We just do their initials and then their birthday, and then press to capture. As a tech, we're going to be using this remote, or it's also touchscreen. You can press the screen whenever you need to initiate the photo taking. In my opinion, I like this a lot better because I can hold the patient's head and then click at the same time. So this is the button to take the picture. You want to make sure that the patient is looking straight, forehead on the bar, but also turning your nose towards the technician for the right eye, like this. And then vice versa for the other eye. Okay, so we'll move on. We're moving on to our eye care tonometer. On top of that, we're also going to be using the auto refractor. We want to make sure that we want to have the patient's contacts out. So with that, we just take them to our contact lens room, just get them situated with contact solution in a contacts case, and then we'll bring them back here and get testing with the tonometer and the auto refractor. Positioning will look like this on the auto refractor. Again, make sure we are wiping the rests here and there, and then we can adjust the chin height here. And then if this is sitting too high for them, we can adjust the table right here. We can move this up and down, left and right. We can also just push the whole thing if we need to. And then whenever we're ready, we just press this joystick. For our eye care tonometry, we're going to be using this. But first, we want to make sure that we have a sterile needle first. We're going to take this box full of sterile needles, sterile probes, and then just open up like that. We don't want to handle it. We just want to drop it straight in. We throw away these, hold this button, and we just turn it on. Again, we don't want the patient to be wearing contacts for this, or glasses. So the color, when it's green, it's level. When it's red, it's not level. The chin is leveled out. That's what I usually tell the patients, hey, I want you to stare straight ahead, keep our chin leveled out, and then they'll just level out. We'll place this on their forehead, and then we press once here. We'll kind of probe the eyeball that way. In this case, it says it's too far. We just adjust this to where it is a little bit closer to my eyes. So that's what it'll kind of look like when you probe on a patient's eye. I typically want to do the maxed out circle to get that complete average. And then you'll do the same thing with the other eye. All right, moving on to our virtual field machine. This is our headset that we use for our virtual field testing. These are the slots where we can put our lenses. We put in a patient's prescription. It'll look like this, and then it'll have our given recommended prescription. And then our lenses will be in here. This area will be our reading prescriptions, and this is for our distance prescriptions. Once we put the virtual field headset on the patient, we want to give them this remote. They're going to have to start the exam by pressing the trigger and the thumb button at the same time. And once they do that, there's going to be some instructions that blurt out from the headset speaker. Whenever the patient has more questions, which they'll most likely will, they'll ask you, and then you tell them what to do. For patient note taking, I usually want to do this when the doctor is busy with the patient, and then we kind of go ahead and start asking the patient a couple of things. So I usually tend to start off with, hey, what brings you in here today? How are our eyes doing? Do we wear glasses? Do we wear contacts? How often for glasses or contacts? They'll say, I'm a full-time contact lens wearer. We go ahead and write that down. We try to get as much information as possible for the reason for visit, and then the doctors can later adjust these notes to their preference. Allergies, if they have no allergies in general, we just leave this blank. There's no big deal. Some people have allergies to sulfa. Type in sulfa at the bottom here, right there, or we just add in sulfa by search. Medications is very similar, except if they're not on any medications, we just click this box. If they are, start looking for their search. A very common one that I see could be lisinopril. Go ahead and type that in, and then we'll have a bunch of lisinopril variations. We just want to know what type of medications they're on, not really on the dosage, so we'll just go ahead and press that. I usually tend to ask, hey, do you have any family history of cataracts, glaucoma, or macular degeneration? If not, we just leave this blank. If so, we can just press on father, brother, mother, etc., and then press save. Lastly, we want to go to comp health testing, and whatever numbers we get, especially the ones that we get that pop up at the very end of our eye care tonometer cycle. Put in the right eye there, left eye there. And then what's great about this is that I don't have to manually put in the time. If the time is right when you take it, you just double click, and then the time shows up where it is. And then to save, we want to make sure to exit out there, and then it will save to my profile. For pre-testing patients, technicians tend to have their own style. For the Optos, I usually say, all right, right eye first and in the center of the hole. We're gonna put our forehead on the rest, and we're gonna be looking for that little target inside. And then I'll do all the adjustments with the remote and then snap a quick picture. Sometimes patients will have droopy eyes, will blink a lot. That's when we'll have our other hand to prop up their eyelid to make sure they don't blink, or their eyes should be as wide as we can. Or we can get another technician. There's no shame in getting assistance from other technicians. They're here to help you as well. For our autorefractor, say, all right, chin and forehead on the rest. We're gonna stare at a little barn right ahead of you down the road. It's gonna get a little bit blurry, but that's completely normal. That's my usual go-to. If the patient asks, I always just say, this is the baseline prescription that we get. Lastly, for the eye care tonometer, just tell them, all right, stare straight ahead, keep our chin level. I'm just gonna touch your forehead here with the slow machine. They're usually compliant with that. Sometimes they'll blink a little bit, but if you're able to catch the probe in between blinks, we'll be able to get pretty good readings.